The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Each year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to festival custom. After they completed its days, as they were returning, the boy Jesus remained behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Thinking that he was in the caravan, they journeyed for a day and looked for him among their relatives and acquaintances. But not finding him, they returned to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were astounded at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been looking for you with great anxiety." And he said to them, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. He went down with them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. And his mother kept all these things in her heart. And Jesus advanced in wisdom and age and favor before God and man. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Before Mass began, the wonderful sacristan and I were musing about how quickly this time of year time can go by. Here we are, already in the first Sunday of Christmas. Christmas is just last Wednesday, and it's hard to believe that it's already here and it's already past us, that this time of year can be so full. And it's important for us to remember that though Christmas was last Wednesday, it's not over. This is just the beginning. Remember, this is the Christmas season. Though the world may forget it, we must not. Christ is really come. The season of Christmas is here. There is much more to celebrate because Christ's coming is such a great gift. So as the church has done, keep up your Christmas decorations, keep up your Christmas lights, listen to your Christmas music. This is the time. And also continue to wish people a Merry Christmas because there is a great gift that has come, Christ himself. And this Sunday, this special Sunday right after Christmas, helps us to continue to meditate on that great mystery, on the incarnation. We have this celebration of the Holy Family in union with Christ's incarnation. And it's a very important solemnity, celebration, and reminder of the church for us to continue meditating on this mystery. Because Christ came in the flesh as a little baby. But as all little babies, Christ didn't just materialize out of thin air. He didn't just pop into existence. Like all of us, he came in the family. And God's greatest gift to us, next to the gift of himself coming as man, his next greatest gift to all of mankind is the family. This is a very important gift that God has given to us. And so we have this special Sunday in particular to remind us of that, to help us meditate on that, the importance of the family in life, in society, and of all of creation, all the ordering of creation. God has put the family at the center. And I know that's a bold claim, but we can see this if we start back in Genesis, looking at how God created the earth. And when he finally came to the creation of human beings, when he created us male and female, it was not good that Adam was alone. Adam was not satisfied. Adam was not happy. He was not complete by himself. Adam only became fully good with the creation of Eve and with his union with Eve. When the two of them became one, became the first family, Adam and Eve. That was the completion of their goodness. That was the final unit among which all of creation had been waiting, was for that family. And of course, Adam and Eve were fruitful and multiplied. They had children. And so that first family was the climax, was the completion of the ultimate goodness of all of creation. And I know that's a particularly bold statement in our modern day, in our society, where we place so much emphasis on the individual, on individuality. And now, yes, it is important to say that as created sons and daughters of God, each of us as an individual is a unique and wonderful person. We are special, and there's a great uniqueness to us. But our dignity, that uniqueness, derives really and primarily from the family, from being a member of our family. Our dignity comes because we are children, first children of God, and then children of our parents. And so the uniqueness and what we are comes from the family. We derive our dignity from the family. The family in Genesis and in much of the Old Testament is the fundamental building block. It is that thing that is a unit. A mother and a father, a husband and a wife and their children. That core central building block of the family is so important to all of creation. All goodness then flows out of that. Adam and Eve then take order over nature. Adam goes as head and names things, right? He is the provider and the distributor of all God's goodness that God has given to us. And I know that's, again, it's a bold statement, but you can see also what happens, continuing with this reflection on Genesis, what happens when there is disorder in the family, right? When disorder comes into the world, it comes when husband and wife are not united anymore. We see that this disorder comes from the dissolution of their family. Satan separates Adam and Eve and tempts them individually and then pits them against each other. And rather than working together as a team, when they try to work as just themselves, they fail and they fall. And then again, this happens when brother kills brother, when Cain turns against Abel and kills his brother. He then creates a divide forever between himself and his family. And this causes a great pain, a great disorder in all of creation. This disorder comes when there's the falling apart of the family. And of course, God, being the ultimate good and loving Father, has come to restore the bonds of the family, right? To bring back order to his creation. The overthrowing of the devil, the combating back of the devil, comes by first reuniting the bonds of the family. That's why Jesus came into the Holy Family. Jesus became man to a mother and a father, to Saint Joseph, the head of the Holy Family, to the Blessed Mother, Mary, his mother and virgin. Mother and father and Christ entered the world. God came into the world through this wonderful unit of the family to restore all goodness, to bring back all that had been lost, and to restore all the goodness of creation and in society, because it's all of that that builds on the family. And of course, God had been sort of pointing towards this for many years, the importance of this. We heard about it in our first reading from Sirach, which is really just a nice synopsis of that fourth commandment that God gives to us, that gives to all his people, right? The fourth commandment, honor your father and mother. And that's the fourth in the list of commandments. It's actually the first among what we'd call like the relational commandments. So think about the 10 commandments for a second, right? The first three really deal with God. Keeping holy the Sabbath day, not having idols before God, preserving the name of God, speaking in an appropriate language, right? We must first have a right relationship with God, because God is number one. But then commandments 4 through 10 are really about how we relate to each other, how we have proper order among ourselves. And the first place that order starts is again with the family, that fourth commandment, honor your father and mother. And it's hard. It's hard because honor is not something that just comes naturally to us. It's something that must be worked for. We must work towards honor because it's hard. And again, Sirach helps us, the reflection from Sirach helps see what is it this honor that God is calling us towards. Honor is a great thing. Honor preserves, as Sirach says, preserves us from sin, preserves our family, our father and mother by extension, from sin. It brings joy to a family. It brings riches. It brings both material and spiritual goodness. It brings peace. And so honor is something that's very great. And so thus it's something that is very hard, something we must consciously work towards, which is why we have, again, this commandment to remind us to work for this great honor. And what does looking for it look like? Well, Sirach continues, that of course starts with honoring your father and mother. So as Sirach says, right, doing things like taking care of your parents in their old age. This can be a very difficult challenge. It is a high burden. It's hard to begin to take care of those who maybe took care of you your entire life. That's difficult. Sirach also says honoring your parents means not reviling them, not rebuking them, right? So controlling our tongues, controlling how we speak to them. Honor doesn't mean that we always have to agree with everything they say, or always see eye to eye with our parents, or always be on a perfect one-to-one page, right? There is room for disagreement, but in honor, there is always this great respect, always this great love and charity that St. Paul talks about towards our parents. That's very key. That is very important in this honor, right? There's a way to honor and disagree, which we sometimes forget. But fortunately, Christ shows us this great example in the gospel today, how to honor our parents. There are many things that could be pulled out of it, but importantly, the gospel sort of points to a moment when, as Luke recounts, when Joseph and Mary are there with the child Jesus. And right, Jesus again is God. He stayed behind in the temple, and he's doing good things. He's learning from the teachers, he's instructing them. There's a great goodness in what he's doing. Jesus is, of course, not in the wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong. But his parents, of course, come looking for him. And the text says that they, Mary and Joseph, did not understand Jesus' response to them. Jesus said to him, why were you looking for me? I'm just in my Father's house. And they didn't fully understand this. And that was okay. Jesus, being God, was in the right. And he could have laid out a long explanatory case of can't you see this is why I'm here, this is why it's important, these are all the things I have to do. He could have made a case for himself. But he didn't do that. To honor his father and mother, it says he answered their question, but then importantly, he goes down with them to Nazareth. He is obedient to them. He is gentle to them. He is humble to them. He extends to them this great reverence and honor, respecting their authority and prominence in his life. And that's a very important part of this commandment. He wants to bring order and harmony to his family. And that's a very great challenge. Yet even God himself shows us that there's a great value in obedience, in honoring, in gentleness towards our parents. And it's through that true joy, true prosperity, true peace comes in the family and then spreads out to all of society. And so if we really want to make a difference in our world this year, if we really want to change things as Christians, as brothers and sisters, as children of God, it first starts by making changes in our family, by honoring our parents, by respecting the bonds, and seeking to deepen the bonds within our families, seeking to radiate this goodness, this order, that if we want order in the world, it must come first and foremost from the family. And so we have this beautiful feast day today. We have the beautiful example of the Holy Family to lead us, to guide us, to show us how to be perfect children in this world, and to bring order back to God's creation, and to bring goodness in our world and in our families.